Before I hand over to our keynote speaker, I wanted to reflect on the remarkable impact of information technology over the last 50 years or so, and where we find ourselves today.
We are in the AWS Summit event celebrated in the entertainment district of Toronto City, along from Street West in the former Railway Lands downtown. I'm here to dive into all the cutting-edge tech and bring you the most interesting thing about the event. The attendees, from developers to business leaders, immersed themselves in the world of cloud computing. The summit featured keynotes from industry experts, insightful sessions on generative AI, and the bustling expo hall. I want to introduce the place where the AWS event is held, which is in the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. It is a prime location surrounded by many of Toronto's most famous landmarks and attractions, like the Science Tower and Ripley Aquarium of Canada. AWS Summit Toronto Expo Hall was a dynamic hub of innovation with a deep focus on the power of data. The principal theme was cybersecurity, with vendors showcasing the latest cloud security solution and the threat detection tools to protect digital assets. Generative AI took center stage with compelling interactive demos illustrating how it is revolutionary in the industry, from content creation to customer service. Furthermore, the wall showcases a well of data tools from business intelligence to powerful analytics and specialized AWS services. The convention center has a unique distinction of celebrating the GC and G20 Summit. These high-profile meetings brought together global leaders to discuss critical international economic and political issues, putting Toronto on the world stage as a hub for diplomacy. This is the world premier mineral exploration and mining convention, getting tens of thousands of attendees from over 100 countries, including geologists, investors, and government officials. The Canadian International Auto Show is one of the most popular and longest-running annual events at the convention center. It draws hundreds of thousands of visitors each year and is a cornerstone of city calendars. The Fan Expo Canada is a massive annual pop culture convention, attracts a huge crowd of fans of comics, sci-fi, horror, anime, and video games. It has become a staple of Toronto summer with major celebrity guests and vibrant atmosphere.
Datadog, we are a cloud infra monitoring tool. Our bread and butter is we consolidate your logs, your metrics, your traces all into one bucket for security and monitoring. We work mostly with teams that are working within the cloud. That being said, we do work with teams that work with on-prem systems, but we are mostly a cloud SaaS solution. Usually folks who are working with a few different tools. Really, our product does is we consolidate that all into one bucket to eliminate both tool sprawl and siloed workflows. 40% of our revenue goes back into research and development. So in a fast moving space that is the tech world, we are ever growing rapidly, and we will continue to do so in coming years.
So MongoDB is a document-based database, a little different from a relational database in that it handles flexibility in terms of its data model, good for developing applications, web applications, develop speaks in their language. It uses object model as opposed to relational databases where you have relational tables. So very easy to work with in terms of developing applications. So it's very scalable, so we can handle very large volumes of data. It's ACID compliant, so that if you're building applications that are writing data to the database, we can handle updates just as easily as read operations. And it's also very scalable, so for large volumes of data. From SQL, yeah, I think really it is that document model that is based on a document model. So instead of a relational table type structure, we use a document model. It's JSON based. So again, JSON, it speaks very well to developing applications in developing languages like Node and Python and so on. And so there's no need for instance, an object relational translation in the middle. We can basically speak directly to the object components within the application. One of the main things is that ACID compliance. So it's able to handle transactional processing. So updates, any type of application that's doing updates, writes, those kinds of things.
It's an open source observability software. At our roots, we are open source, and we do still have open source offerings, but we also have an entire observability software as a service product called Grafana Cloud. So what it gives you is everything you might need in your observability solution. That's things like application performance monitoring, infrastructure monitoring, particularly Kubernetes. We have synthetics and performance tests in Grafana Cloud, as well as an integrated IRM suite, as well as recently some AI offerings, right? We have something called Asserts, which is a root cause analysis tool. It's meant
meant to take all your telemetry data and quickly surface issues and streamline how you troubleshoot them. The goal of observability is hopefully nothing ever breaks, but if it does, fix it fast, because that costs money, that costs developer productivity, and those are all things we want to avoid. Yeah, I would say something very new is actually our AI assistant. So that is just like you would imagine any AI assistant. Within the platform, you can open it up and you can ask it to do really anything in terms of Grafana's observability. So that might be, hey, do I have any active alerts right now? Or that might be, my dashboard's broken, can you fix it?
So Cast AI is a Kubernetes automation and optimization platform. So typically organizations come to us with a couple of different problems. Number one, the teams that are physically managing Kubernetes experience a lot of toil. Things like instance type and node type selection are challenging for them. In addition to that, the vast majority of organizations are heavily over provisioned. Industry studies show that only 12 to 13% of resources on average are actually utilized. In addition to that, as you have a conversation with those organizations, typically we'll find that things are going fairly well, but costs have continued to skyrocket and balloon, and they want to have a conversation about how to best optimize and reduce those cloud costs. Finally, I would say as a whole, CAS was founded and started to take a look at an organization's cloud cost bill. From there, we want to look at those top 6 or 8 line items and support and help organizations as they try to reduce costs throughout their cloud bill. Realistically, what makes CAS different? I would argue that what makes CAS different is the data that we have. A lot of organizations are trying to do something similar, and realistically, the breadth of data we have across all the hyperscalers, AWS, GCP, and Azure, puts us in a position to continue being a market leader.
Yeah, so I'm here with ClickHouse, which is an analytical column-oriented database, which basically means we're great for large analytical workloads. For example, one of our bigger customers is OpenAI, which uses us to power the observability, logs, and metrics underneath ChatGPT. So whenever you're using one of the most popular AI agents out there, just let it be known, ClickHouse is making sure it works great for you. It's going to be that we tend to have better cost efficiency and faster querying, and we do that by separating compute and storage within our cloud layer. That allows people to take advantage of if you're storing a bit of data but running a lot of queries, or vice versa. You're storing a lot of data but running less queries, you get the cost savings because it's not always constantly running. Honestly, I feel like not a lot of people, if you know about us, but if you didn't know about us, I think the best thing to know is that we are really good. Like, we're really fast, we're really easy to use, and really easy to get started. We have free cloud trial credits, so you're welcome to start there, or the open source.
Company of many things now. We're a leader in exposure management, which is a very broad term that encapsulates cloud security, OT security, of course, vulnerability management, accumulating all that stuff into an attack surface view. You can scan, I'm sure. I run cloud security and identity. So yeah, just to double back, exposure management under Tenable One, which is our exposure management platform. We have cloud security. Sometimes people call that CNAPP. OT is a big foundation of our company, as I said earlier. Vulnerability management foundationally linked to the company's inception. And then, of course, we have identity as well. You're not going to find another exposure management company I hear that has a leadership position and capability to bring data in from all areas of the attack surface. So OT, that's not relevant for all of our customers. Relevant for a lot of our customers. I mean, think about it. Even an enterprise company will have endpoints that are industrialized or not IT. Vulnerability management including in that as well. Cloud security, which is a leading CNAPP solution as well that is an enterprise grade. Nobody's going to have that breadth from a platform perspective. So that's a very unique differentiator for us. And then what that provides our customers is that's a platform experience. It's more cost effective, even though we don't really price, we compete on value. And that's really where it's at. And that is gathered by a unified view of risk. And we call VPR.
So we're called Firefly. Our website is Firefly AI. And we're a cloud infrastructure automation platform. We help you automate, manage, and govern your entire cloud infrastructure as code through IAC. We have quite a few competitors, including AWS and HashiCorp themselves. The differentiator for us is that we can scan all of your cloud infrastructure regardless of what cloud it's on, and we generate infrastructure as code for any IAC framework. We can tell you what's managed in code, what's not, and we generate the IAC for you, and we can tell you what's drifted between your cloud console and your state files and automatically remediate that drift for you. Additionally, we do IAC deployment, so we can deploy infrastructure for you, but we'll block those deployments deployments if they're outside of policies and guardrails that you set up?
Sure. Yeah, so Do-It is an AWS Premier Partner. We've been around for about 11 years now. We primarily help AWS customers with cloud optimization. We have a FinOps tool that helps manage, visualize, and understand your costs. And we also have a team of engineers. I think we're at 150 global engineers that help with AWS expertise. So for building new products, for solving any problems that might come up, and we offer that at 24/7 support. So it's a monthly subscription. You pay the same fee every single month, and you get unlimited access to our engineers. The biggest thing that sets us apart is our engineering bench. I think we have some of the most talented engineers in the world, and probably one of the largest benches when it comes to partnerships. Like I mentioned before, we're in every country at this point. We just opened in Japan, so we do have coverage across every single time zone. So no matter what customer you are, what type, what services you're looking for, chances are we have the expertise needed to resolve that.
And we are at the AWS Innovation Day, the AWS Summit in Toronto. We've got our good friend Carver, who's over here joining me, waving to people as we go. So what Slalom does is it's a global end-to-end consulting business, and we do consulting right from the business strategy side of it, right through to all the technology implementations, whether it is migrations, whether it's modernizations of your applications, whether you are looking for software applications developed, or on your data strategy as well. And of course, AI is a big part of everything that we do. So do come and chat to us here and meet Carver. You can shake hands with him and say hi, and we look forward to seeing you. If we're looking at from a competitive perspective, Slalom really meets our clients where they are on their journey. We want to create differentiator for our clients and really focus on what they need to do in their particular business. We've got a fiercely human component to our business. Even though we've got robotics and AI, it really comes down to the human aspect of how we're going to implement these solutions, what do our clients want to achieve with it, and how we put a human in the loop in this entire AI story.
We're an AI inference company, and what we do is we run open source models on the cloud, and we serve them in a performant way. That's like low latency, high. So you can host a variety of models with us, and we serve the API out of the box. DeepSeek, Quen, Kimi K2, GPT open source models. We also have like an embeddings product. We have text to speech, speech to text as well. We have a forward deploy engineering motion. That's essentially we have an engineer dedicated to your customers on a 24/7 basis. Anytime something breaks, they can come and fix it. The other thing is we have a lot of auto scaling capabilities the competitors doesn't have. We actually have 7 clouds in the back end. So what that means is if AWS goes down and you still need to run your workload, we simply switch that workload to like GCP or Azure, and then you can continue your ML applications. You could go to Amazon, but for a lot of the larger vendors like Amazon, you need to buy the GPU's capacity for like 6 to 12 months. And if you don't have enough workload, that tends to be very expensive. You can think of us as like GPU on demand. We scale up and down according to how much you need, and you don't pay for extra minute idle usage, right? So that's a big differentiator.
Well, Snowflake is a data platform, essentially. So you can bring all your data as a company onto Snowflake, do large-scale analysis with that, use AI with your data, and really just unlock the power of your data. But Snowflake is really, really easy to use. So in terms of actually empowering your workflows and getting people to use the product and ultimately unlock the data, we make it very easy to do that, power engineers to govern the access to the data and to access other data. So very, very easy to use. I would say that a lot of our AI integrations are really, really mature. So whereas a lot of people know our company in terms of a data lake and a way to access that data and do aggregations, we're also a very, very powerful place now to use AI on your data, train models, and to interact with your data using AI. Snowflake is it's completely cloud native. So we deploy into one of the major clouds, either AWS, Azure, or GCP, and we're completely cloud native. We can still get your data from an on-premise environment into Snowflake, but we run completely cloud native.
I think to start your training with AWS, you want to really be a focus on foundational content, the vocabulary of AWS. And where that really starts is with our Cloud Practitioner certification. The Cloud Practitioner is basically a certification about the building blocks of AWS. What's a region? What is an availability zone? Foundational services that most of our customers use, and what are some of the well-architected best practices or the frameworks that we use to build effective solutions. The way to get started with that is through skillbuilder.aws, a training platform that we use for digital training. There's over 500 free courses available, as well as labs for the cloud practitioner certification. So I think that's a really good place to start. I've got a QR code right over here for AWS Skill Builder. The other thing that I think is that when we look at certification, there's a wealth of information that we have at AWS. A lot of this is foundational. Then we have role-based certs. Are you a developer? Are you a solutions architect? I think the place to start is going to be with the cloud practitioner, which is very foundational. And then you can choose your adventure from there. Where do you want to specialize in cloud-based technology? There's not just, we have a dozen certifications. Emphasize to people that you should start at the foundation, get a good foundation, and then decide what interests you. And then, go from there. Certification is an exam. So it's a way to validate your knowledge. Training, we have training and digital courses that are, I like to say, learn AWS from AWS, right? So these are courses that are built in-house, and then you can validate your knowledge with the certification exam, okay? And these are proctored certification exams, just so you can measure, do I have this level of knowledge? Go out to skillbuilder.aws. We've got a variety of training out there, including game-based learning. So it's not just listening to lectures. There is Card Clash, which is a digital card game. If you're into games like Gathering the Magic and things like that, well, this is sort of our digital representation. So there are other ways to learn rather than just listening to lectures and slides. And we have a variety of those. I also think that doing labs and self-tests are very helpful as well.